The preface. While it was deemed not necessary, as I'm not filling in for another researcher and I'm still recording the notes, I'd like to leave a record of who works on what projects, and I highly encourage all other researchers to do the same. That being said, I am Dr. Paul Jacobs, one of the chief researchers of this fine institution, and the one overseeing the Delta 13 project, which will be subsequently documented. The purpose of this project is to study the mysterious substance we acquired from the mountains at the site it was discovered in, currently dubbed Delta 13, which the project was named after. We are to study this substance and learn everything we can about it. Anything we learn, as previously stated, will be recorded in the subsequent research entries. Research Audio Log 1. The first of the subject samples has finally arrived. Rather frustratingly, at least to me, the substance has remained unnamed. Whether this was an intentional choice, an oversight, or simple laziness and incompetence, I cannot say. Regardless, it seems it was left up to me and my team to decide its name. We plan to wait until we learn more about it and any unusual properties it may have to decide. Updates to come. Research Audio Log 2. This thing, it's incredible. Research on what we're temporarily calling the Delta 13 compound has produced some very intriguing conclusions and hypotheses. The primary and most intriguing of said conclusions being that this is no mere substance, but a living organism. What it is, however, is uncertain. It's certainly not an animal, plant, or fungi. It may possibly be part of the Protista or Minera kingdoms, yet this is highly unlikely, and it doesn't seem to share enough characteristics with either to be classified as such. Whatever the Delta 13 compound is to be classified, however, it's already proving to be incredible. We must study it even further. More to come. Research Audio Log 3. We have unintentionally, yet amazingly, discovered more about the Delta 13 compound. It seems that when it comes into contact with another living organism, it bonds to it. This subject, therefore, is symbiotic, to some degree, at least. Further study in this regard is needed to determine whether it is symbiotic or merely parasitic. But if we can utilize this, I can't wait to see what this may bring. Updates to come, as always. Research Audio Log 4. I cannot say for certain whether these experiments were a godsend or a disaster, but they are certainly intriguing and must continue to be studied nonetheless, despite any trepidation that I may have in doing so. The first experiments went, well, about as well as usual, I suppose. We bonded the Delta 13 compound to various subjects, including rats, dogs, and people. When the Delta 13 compound was bonded, we performed a variety of studies. The first was how it fared in terms of defense and/or offense, as requested. Initial results are very promising, with the creature seemingly being highly resistant to bullets, explosions, weather conditions, radiation, lasers, plasma, electricity, and more, in addition to protecting the host from such things. It also seems to have the ability to reshape itself and the host into whatever it may need, which is also extremely useful in weaponizing the subject. However, it isn't so cut and dry, as seen from later experiments that showed the rather detrimental effects the Delta 13 compound has on subjects long term, which was the next experiment. To summarize, long-term bonding to the Delta-13 compound, which is, as of now, the only way to be bonded with it, as we do not currently have any means to remove the subject from its host, is, to put it simply, a most terrible idea that should not be implemented. At first, the host seems to be fine, but after a course of several weeks, the subject's mental and physical conditions seem to, well, not quite deteriorate, but drastically alter. The first human subject's limbs, specifically arms, legs, fingers, and toes, seemed to be currently elongated. Where the fingernails and toenails once were, seemed to be claws at about as long as the subject's original fingers. What is visible of the subject's face has changed, with the ears seemingly having retracted into the head. The nose and mouth of the subject seem to have fused and elongated into a snout, reminiscent of a boar's, though lacking tusks. The eyes of the host seem to become much larger, and smaller ones, like a spider's have, sprouted as well. The host is no longer able to speak, only making the most haunting and blood-chilling screams that I've ever heard. It seems to eat primarily animals, though it seems especially eager to eat humans. If the poor custodial faculty that became its victims are anything to go on, anyway. The second host is in a very similar condition. Instead of elongating its limbs, it seems to have grown more. Its feet have become reminiscent of hands, complete with thumbs. It seems to have grown a retractable tail, with a hand at the end as well, as was discovered by Dr. Colbert when he went to attempt to interview the abomination. Host is either incapable of vocal sounds or is willingly giving that impression, though the reason as to why is unknown. With the third subject, similar mutation results occurred in regards to the distorting and mutation of anatomy, with one notable exception. The host clearly retains vocal capabilities, though it doesn't seem to have retained any knowledge of any languages, as the words the host speaks are random and sometimes nonsensical. It's unknown if removing the Delta-13 compound would restore the hosts back to their previous states, though our studies seem to indicate that this is unlikely, as their actual DNA has changed as a result of being bonded with the subject. Further study is needed, as it still remains to be seen whether the subject can be neutralized, and, if such a thing is possible, whether it will retain its properties. We shall see, I suppose. We shall see. Research Audio Log 5. In a stroke of remarkable fortune, we found a way to neutralize the Delta-13 compound. Well, I said neutralize, but I suppose that isn't entirely accurate, as the subject isn't dead. Exactly. It'd be more accurate to say we forced it into, for lack of a better term, a vegetative state. Or perhaps a better and more acceptable word would be brain death. Either way, we have essentially killed off any higher functions the Delta-13 compound may have had. Amazingly, despite the state we've rendered this particular specimen into, it seems to mostly retain its unusual properties previously exhibited. Further testing has shown that the brain-dead variant of the compound is not quite as durable or as powerful as its uninhibited counterpart. However, it's still far more durable and flexible than any other currently known substance. It has been requested that we test the neutralized Delta-13 compound's capability for armor and weapons, so that will be the next log. Updates to come. Social media can be very unpredictable, especially regarding horror content. If this content gets removed, All new content will be simultaneously presented on various websites provided in the description to this video. Make sure to follow me in other digital spaces so that you never miss out on the terror. Also, if you like this video, make sure to leave a comment and hit the like button. It helps the channel a lot. If you're new to the channel and you enjoy what's here, consider hitting that subscribe button and the notification bell so that you never miss an upload. Writing is a dream of mine, and it's all of you that make that dream come true.